Hi everyone, this is Charmander, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the most important attributes in this game, ranked from best to worst, and this is based on things that you can actually equip or level up, such as equipment, parts, refinement, armaments, and workshop. So let's go ahead and get started with the most important attribute in my opinion, and that attribute is actually going to be squad damage reduction. This is so important because this is the single thing that can make your troops as defensive as possible. So whether you're fighting in the field, you're fighting in rally, you're fighting in garrison, the squad damage reduction is hands down the most important thing that you can do to keep your troops and your heroes alive for much longer. This is also separate from squad defense, so as a result, it's not going to be affected by diminishing returns as much as those other attributes. So if you are aiming to get parts, in my opinion, this should be the target. As you can see, I am not a whale, I'm a mid-spend player, and I can only pick and choose what I can level up. So in which case, I'm hyper focusing on the squad damage reduction right now for the parts, just because it's that important. If you take a look at my armaments as well, in my devices, a lot of my hones are, as you can see, squad damage reduction. And even look at this one, I have a purple squad damage reduction, and that purple one is going to be better than a red squad defense just because of diminishing returns. Hence why it's so important. The next most important thing, in my opinion, is a tie between squad damage and skill damage dealt. And the reason why it's high is because certain heroes like Chasey and Felix, they rely on basic damage, right? So skill damage doesn't really affect them, but most of the heroes in this game are heavily reliant on skill damage. And just from the perspective of most heroes using skill damage as their main source of huge damage in this game, that is why it's so important. So that's why after squad damage reduction, in my opinion, leveling up any parts or armaments that has squad damage or skill damage is definitely the next go-to. The next most important thing, in my opinion, is actually going to be skill damage taken by troops. Now, I know you can't hone this, but if you have any armaments that has this, it's definitely really good because, as I have mentioned earlier, skill damage is one of the big ways that a lot of heroes in this game are causing damage to each other. So if you can reduce the skill damage that you take, then it's definitely a huge boost. And this is also separate from squad defense. So this is also helping you become more defensive as a result, allowing your heroes to stay longer and fight longer in battle. The next most important thing is actually squad HP. So you can get this from armaments as well as parts. And because this attribute is so hard to get in this game, any chance that you can get squad HP is definitely a big bonus in regards to helping your squads stay alive longer. The next one after squad HP is actually going to be squad lethality and squad block, and your ultimate goal is to get plus 160 of this attribute above your opponents. That way you can either deal extra damage or you can reduce the damage being dealt to you. This is limited to just armaments, and if you hyper focus on squad lethality and squad block before you put any attack or defense hones, then you are sure to give yourself an edge over your opponents that has not invested in these two attributes. And this is actually very similar to the workshop as well, where there is something called squad firepower as well as squad protection. And basically, if you have this value above your opponent, then you can create something called barrage fire. And the barrage fire essentially increases the squad's file damage that you deal to your opponents. The next important attribute, in my opinion, would be squad attack and squad defense, just because it has a broader way of powering up your squad, whether that be the skill damage, the basic attack that you do. And because it's more broad, it helps you in multiple different scenarios. So it's not just a single scenario kind of situation. I can also say the same thing about the squad counter damage, which is the next most important thing, as this can affect multiple different targets. And what I mean by that is if multiple targets are attacking you, then you can provide counter damage to all those targets that is attacking you, hence the ability to affect multiple squads, not just on a one-on-one battle. The next important thing I would say is actually going to be the squad's basic attack damage and squad's basic attack damage taken, because unlike squad counter damage, this only affects on a one-on-one basis, meaning if you're fighting someone one-on-one and you're attacking that person, then your basic damage is only affecting that person. It doesn't affect the other squads that's attacking you. So because of that limitation on the one-on-one setting, I'm putting that below the squad counter damage. You could argue that squad's basic attack damage taken is more important, so I would definitely put that slightly higher, just because multiple squads can be doing basic damage on you. So in that case, squad's basic attack damage goes above squad basic attack. The next most important thing, in my opinion, is actually the squad travel speed, just because everyone has to move on the map, whether that be fighting on the field and allowing you to chase down someone to kill them before they escape, or allowing you to escape before someone kills you, or just you running towards the garrison to fill the tower and preventing the enemies from killing you before you refill the tower. And same goes for trying to refill a rally and allowing yourself to prevent being being killed before you enter that rally. The next set of attributes I'm actually not a big fan of because they are so limited in where you are able to utilize them. So the first one is actually going to be rally and garrison skill damage. Now I put that first because there's a high probability that if you're doing rally, you're going to be doing skill damage on your opponent, or if you're doing garrison, there's also a high probability you're going to be doing skill damage to one of your opponent. And that skill damage can also be an AoE if you have Lewis, for example, or Ethan. So in that case, I do think that the rally and garrison skill damage is very important because it's going to affect whoever you are fighting against. I would then put rally and garrison counter damage next, and I put that below the rally and garrison skill damage because yes, it does affect multiple targets, but the PvP events where you are going to get attacked by multiple targets is mostly going to be in Archipelago Raid, Off Limits War, and Genesis War, and this is especially true for the garrison counter damage. So I would actually put the rally counter damage higher because that will affect you in more than those events that I mentioned, as people can be swarming your rally, and garrison counter damage would be afterwards just because the probability of you actually using the garrison counter damage is more limited to those events that I mentioned. And even with Genesis War, it's mainly the third window, or if someone's doing a multiple rally on the Science Hub. The next attribute here, again starting to go lower in the importance, is actually rally attack and garrison attack. And again, this affects multiple types of attack. That's why it's going to be higher than the next one, which is going to be rally basic damage, which affects you on a one-on-one basis, mainly you doing the rally on the garrison and you're doing basic attack on that garrison. Next one is going to be garrison basic attack. And again, the bigger problem, even bigger problem than rally basic attack, is at least with rally basic attack, if you're doing a triple rally, for example, in Archipelago Raid, then all three of those rallies are going to be doing basic attacks into a single target, while with garrison basic attack, it's just a garrison doing basic attack on the tank rally or the initial rally that hit you. Now we're going down to the completely almost useless attributes that you get in this game. So the next one is actually called damage dealt to zombies. And this is not 100% useless because you can fight chainsaw zombies, for example, in events like Archipelago Raid, and it will definitely help you deal more damage to those. And that could mean your team getting extra points during the chainsaw zombie phase, as well as in Genesis War when you are killing those chainsaw zombies. But in my opinion, it's still not worth honing this. But since we're doing kind of like this fun little experiment on which is the best to the worst attributes available, then this is going to be the one that's going to be above the next few ones that I'm going to mention. The next one that are not very good at all are any of these resource gathering ones, like oil gathering, steel gathering, food gathering, and wood gathering speed, because you don't really need them. I guess you could equip them in your farm accounts, but they would actually bloat your battle ratings if you have extra armaments that is not being used for battle. And if your alliance likes to register their farms to help register for events, then ultimately the problem with that is having those farmer armaments with farming skills, like this gathering ones, will actually just bloat those accounts and bloat the battle ratings, putting you in worser matchmaking situations. Next one on the list is going to be squad load. Again, this is pretty much useless. The only time I can see you using this is if you burn someone's shelter and you're now trying to steal all their resources and you're trying to get resources before your teammates do, in which case, okay, fine, you can get this to increase the load of resources that you steal, but then completely useless because it's going to make your squad so much weaker if you hone this. And in terms of attributes, zombie kill EXP, and this is not useful at all because EXP is so easy to get for your heroes in this game that it would be throwing away a hone slot if you hone this, or if you get this in any other equipment that's available in this game that has this. I'm not sure if there's any other ones, but I'm just pointing out if there is, it's a wasted slot. So that's about it for the video, in my opinion, of the attributes that is ranked from best to worst based on your equipment, parts, refinement, armaments, and workshop. I hope that you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.